Welcome to Beyond the Buzzer.
Hi, I'm Josh, and this is my best friend Kyle.
You might recognize us. We are rural American high school athletes from the 90s, after all.
And we're here again on camera after 30 years to bring you our travels from
Beyond the Buzzer.
Hey guys, this is Josh. I'm back here with my best friend Kyle on Beyond the Buzzer, and super excited today. We're going to the Louvre in Paris. So, Kyle,
awesome.
how's your week going?
It's going well. I got to hang out with my kiddos today, so we had for all weekend really. We had a good time, and now I'm here hanging out with you talking about the Louvre, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, Bruges, of course, stood out as the outside the city that we went to, but this was our first taste of history going over to Europe, and that's what we are into. I know people go there for many reasons, but I was super excited for many reasons to check this place out.
Yeah.
So we're
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I'm just saying we're getting ready with
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
We're getting back
Perfect.
Getting back into the French lifestyle here with some wine, and I'll have to say, ever since our episode 1 Rex Valley Day, I've definitely heightened my senses as far as fine food and drink. I mean, for example, I can tell you just by sniffing that this is a red. So
I think mine is too. So yeah, cheers, Reds, to celebrate our time in Paris, which we talked about in our last episodes. What we had when we were there is lots of wine.
Absolutely. So yeah, so we're just recreating that atmosphere as we take you on our trip to the Louvre, which we had to limit ourselves. Unfortunately, I think we put ourselves about a 4-hour time limit, which is nowhere near long enough to see everything in here. But we tried to hit as many highlights as we could.
We still got to go through centuries and centuries and countries and empires and all kinds of stuff. So I'm just going to reel off some nerd stuff about the Louvre. I had some time today. I had some time today while you're running around.
I like nerd stuff.
People go to Europe for lots of reasons. They go for shopping. They go for the boat rides, the scenery, to hang out at the beaches. So far, Kyle and I are pretty hooked on just going over there to understand where we came from and how these places stood for thousands of years before we got there and kind of shaped the world we live in now. And the Louvre houses all of that. So the cool thing about the Louvre is it's been there forever. It's a castle from 1190. So this was built when Paris was first started, and it was just it's right on the river and a just traditional castle to protect the city from invaders. And so it had a moat around it right off the river. It had access to fresh water, so they could never, really take it in a siege. They could sit there forever and ever. And the city expanded and became not useful as a fortress anymore. So it wasn't on the outside of the city; it was right in the city. And sometime around 1546, they really started being converted into what it is today, which is if you we'll show us through some of the pictures. I don't know if you want to start on some of those as we walk through, because you can see.
Yeah, definitely. We got to start first. Our palates were fresh, so we had to get our breakfast, of course.
That's true.
So we had to say bonjour with coffee and mimosas and this delicious item that I discovered there called chocolate bread. And it's just a pastry stuffed with chocolate in it. I think I had one every day while we were in Europe.
I don't know what they do with the pastries over there. Everything's every country went through much more flaky, but we're up early. This is in our last episode, we've been up at the Eiffel Tower late that night before. We've probably had six, maybe 7 hours of sleep here. We're up early and we want to get in lines. We hear it's crazy crowded to get over there. We found this cafe right across the street from the Louvre and then walked across the street.
And it was closed the day before. So we were expecting this to kind of be like, I think it was a Wednesday actually, but we were expecting Monday business traffic, a lot of people there.
Yep. So. And we sprinted through Paris, and not to say I didn't love it. I think it's a place you want to see more in the summertime for sure. But the Louvre, you can go any time of year, and the Louvre's worth the trip alone. And going in December like we did, late November, December, definitely recommended from our short experiences over there because we could get right in.
So here's the outside of us getting ready to go in.
I think that's what I was, going into is like a lot of this, we'll see. I don't think we have any pictures, but in the basement, you can see this old, where it was a medieval castle. But this is right after the Renaissance. And so this is the Italian Renaissance architecture. This is marble. And for your construction nerds, they actually used rebarb and reinforced this with iron and steel, so it's still standing today. And we'll touch on this quite a bit as we go through the episode. But
And
the
Josh
museum,
mentioned the basement being the castle, and you could see where there was like the moat and everything. But there's now also a mall there, which kind of
no, it took away a little
took
bit.
away a little bit.
But it was we'll talk about this a lot through the episode, but just like you can see, the construction of the place alone is a testament to the time. You could walk through there and just check out the architecture and the old palace that is there, and just love that. So, of course, this place eventually evolved into a space for royalty. I'm sure they had many special events in there, marriages and wars and celebrations. And then what they did is they, as the rich royals do, they started collecting art. So not only was the place decorative, as you see, but they started having their own collections there. And then sometime around the mid 1700s, the public started wanting to see the display, the collection of history that France had collected going across the world through their, colonialism and conquest, some unfortunate events, but bringing back this cool art. And so they started to open up on Wednesdays and Saturdays for the public to come in. And then, of course, famously in 1791, when the French had the revolution and got the guillotine out and got rid of the royalty, it quickly became a place for the public instead of a place for the royalty, which I think is really cool because there's all this money and conquest and tax and exploitation that goes throughout history is now a public museum. And so it's cool that it starts with stuff like that, but now it's for everyone. And so that's
and I don't know for sure, but I'm going to guess it's probably got to be the most visited museum in the world.
I would think so. The collection's out of control, but the new Republican French started, divvying up money so they would add to the collection that 100,000 livres, whatever that would collect into today. But that was the money they put in every year. And of course, like I said, as the French army went around and brought their spoils back, even up to Napoleon, they were bringing artifacts back. So it's it's like I said, so opulent, such a cool palace, and now a museum. Up to World War II, where they had to hide some of the stuff and bring it back. It's been there, and I think that what we're looking at behind us is what I'd pictured going over there is just this pyramid that you see everywhere, this glass pyramid from like the 80s. I had no idea it was encompassed in this big palace courtyard, so that was cool.
And so here's kind of a panoramic shot of just the courtyard. I mean, this is just to get to the line to go into this place.
This whole thing's amazing. The Louvre. The whole thing's the museum. Underground, above ground, and there's two sides of it.
Was it three floors of exhibits or four? I can't.
I think it was fours. I think they had the basement.
Should have had the map over here, but I forgot.
I think they had the basement too, and even down to like we talked about the old castle. So
which we mapped out. We had to. There were, like I said, we had a limited amount of time, but there were three things that we definitely 100% had to see, and you'll see those coming up. But we mapped out our route to make sure we could see those.
If I go back, I'm going to spend 2 or 3 days there. It's so cool. And you go to France, but then you get to see the whole world from inside this museum. So this was one of Napoleon's arcs from the 1800s. So he, when he was doing
Arc de Carousel, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's where he would come through.
That's right there at the entrance of it. And so we're literally us and this guy right here.
Yeah, we were the first ones there. Us and this cat.
And French are famous for having these cats running around through the streets, really friendly, really cute. I don't know how they all get fed, but living at the Louvre wouldn't be a bad life. Yeah. So here we are, first in line.
We were the Griswolds, first in line for sure.
And it was open.
And we were there so early, people were asking us what they should do, like they thought that we knew. Because the two people behind us, I believe, were from Georgia, the state, not the country.
Right.
So they understood our slang.
Yep. So we were talking to them about SEC sports, and they were great, and talking about the plan once we got inside. And then we got to see the French in action. There was the French security there, and then there was people who believed they should be able to get in. People didn't
So
believe
many
they should
people
get
that
in.
thought they should get in before the museum opened. It was crazy.
And some of them were just fans, and I guess of the museum. Then some of them were people that worked there, and to see the thing ensue. Apparently, you talk really angry, you pace around, do a lot of circles, and you come back with your case 2 or 3 times. Things change, and you can get inside. So we were trying to watch out what the mastery was there in the French language, but very fun to see the people
Yeah.
interact and the how the locals on their just going to the Louvre on their daily day, and
Unfortunately, we could not remember how to say rural American high school athletes in the 90s in French. So we
No.
had to wait until the museum opened, unfortunately.
No, we weren't even angry enough, I don't think, to get in. I think there's a level of anger that it
Nope.
took too.
The breakfast was too good. We were in too good of a mood.
Weather was nice.
But once we got
And-
inside, of course, we made a beeline for the most famous piece of art in the world.
In the entire world. This is, the Mona Lisa, of course, Leonardo da Vinci, our favorite turtle. It started sometime around 1503. It took him about a decade to do. And of course, this thing is just shrouded in mystery. It's I think you may have heard this before. It's smaller than you expect, but it really is interesting piece of art. There's a huge room, and that face is like 3D. It stands out and follows you wherever you go. And of course, that guy was a genius. There's layers of science and stuff, and that we'll never understand.
It's hard to put into words what it's like seeing it in person. I mean, you can look at pictures of it all day, but actually standing there in front of it, it's pretty amazing.
And we saw, of course, here and all through Europe, lots of different art. And art appreciation is something I want to get better at. But I don't know. It's even as novices as we were looking at this, I got the point of why people go and stand in line to see this thing.
And again, we pointed out to the people guarding this that we were high school athletes in the 90s in rural America. But for some reason, they would not let us examine the painting for any secret codes or hints or anything.
No, we were trying to connect that mystery to Oak Island back to our Nova Scotia exploring, and I'm sure there's some kind of connection there. But if this thing hit an auction, $1 billion would be the starting place. I don't think you could sell it. It's so iconic, and it was cool that it was us and like 4 people viewing the Mona Lisa on
the 2 people behind us were like, "We're following you guys because you seem like you know what we're doing," and we're like, "Well, you guys are pretty brave, but here we go."
But just to lay eyes on that was awesome. And then she faced us out at this thing.
Yeah, this piece of art is probably has the worst placement in the entire Louvre because it's directly across from the Mona Lisa, but it is absolutely massive. It's like 20 feet by 25 feet or just something ridiculous.
It's like a cinema screen, and so many details. I forget what this one was called, but there was so many different stories and layers, and recognized some of them.
This is The Wedding Feast at Cana by Paolo Veronese. I hope I said his name right. Around 1562 to 1563 is when it was painted. But I think there's a picture of Josh standing in front of it coming up here in a second. Well, here's another picture of Mona.
See how much her face and eyes are right on you.
She follows you everywhere you go in that room. It's crazy. Da Vinci was definitely a time traveler or just a ridiculous genius.
Just a ridiculous genius.
So
you can see the
there's
room.
Josh looking at the painting. I thought I had you in front of it. But yeah, that painting is huge. This is the other stuff. This here is the line that people, and by the time we walked back there later in the day, this was full.
Packed.
Completely full. Just to see the Mona Lisa, which, like Josh said, is not as big as you would think. It's probably like a piece of legal paper.
Yeah, normal portrait.
Yeah.
But the hall was full of all kinds of stuff. You don't know what you're looking at, but just reading the ages and the artists' names and seeing the stories that are depicted there, and just
it's an overload. Like I said, I wish we had more time, but like I said, we had 3 things on our list that we wanted to hit those 1, 2, 3, get them out of the way, and then spend the rest of our time just kind of leisurely going through.
Good there.
Yeah. But the parquet floors are just
the hall, the
amazing.
Ceilings, the architecture,
just crazy. And here, Josh is celebrating here as becoming possibly the only person to receive an adjustment in the Louvre.
When I travel with my best friend that's a doctor of chiropractic, and after being cramped up in planes and trains and walking around forever, I was super sore. I needed to get stretched out a little bit, and happened to just have a doctor right there with me. So I said, "Man, you think I could get an adjustment?" So right there in the middle of the Louvre, he performed his magic, and felt so much better. I was ready to go.
Yeah, so we were ready to continue on
Mm.
to possibly, I think, what might have been both of our favorite pieces that we found there.
I think in all of our 3 cities that we stopped in and over there, this was my favorite. And not only because we're both basketball nerds, but this is Nike, and
Yes.
it's just incredible. Of course, missing the head. But this thing's like 25 feet tall or something, counting that display that she's on. And this thing's from like 2,200 years ago, and it's like 190 BC. And they just found it on an island in the Aegean Sea. It's just been laid to waste. And of course, she's there on the front of a boat, and there was millions of Hellenistic Greek conquest back in the day. What we learned about this is a lot of the Greek statues are actually Roman recreations from later, but this is an original Greek piece. Would be something like this would have inspired Michelangelo to do David. This is the original stuff. They have no idea who created this. But the drapery is fantastic. And Kyle, that this picture right here is what we were told we were supposed to look at. This is like
Yeah,
three
this is
quarters to the left.
there's actually there's a sign in the museum that says the best place to take a picture from. So of course I did it because I'm a dork. But let me zoom in so you can really see this. This thing, I can't describe it. It is just amazing to see in person. How
We read.
somebody can get that detail in marble is beyond me,
No, it's like
especially
transparent.
2,500 years ago or however long this was.
Yeah, and it looks like what we read is it would have been at the top of a courtyard. So you would have been looking at this at the courtyard, and it looks like it's literally landing out of the skies. And all I could think about was Clash of the Titans.
Oh
That was
yes,
like the movie Clash of the Titans, because it was that kind of feel to it. And it was just back in the day. You can imagine being a commoner walking in and seeing this, and this you being told this is one of the gods, and being like, "Yep, I guess so."
the
What else?
the the goddess of victory. I
The
mean,
goddess of victory.
you don't want to mess with somebody that has the goddess of victory on their side. I would
No,
think.
so Nike would have been close with Athena and Zeus, I think, and this would have been celebrating a naval battle, is what I would guess with the boat. And I read today, didn't know this before, but read today, so it's assembled with different pieces. There was like bronze attachments inside, and that's why the head and the arms and stuff eventually were lost, and they have not been recovered through history. But
Which
so
just
cool that
makes
the
you
wings
wonder
are still there.
what it looked like when it was at its peak, you
Yeah,
know?
and I don't know if they painted them or what else, but like I said, the wings are fantastic. And so this is, here we are 200 years BC in Greece, staring at this, stuff that was thousands, literally thousands of years before our time. This would have been a big deal for politically and for the armies and everything else. So big symbol of power.
Yeah, absolutely worth the trip,
And they
100%.
built this that she's in a hall by herself. They built that whole hall around her. And
There's like
I've
3 stairways or something that converge, and she's just standing there. It's pretty
so,
amazing.
and she's been standing there since 1884, which is a long time in itself. So
Indeed. So this was one of the wings we went down. They were doing a lot of renovations and stuff with it while we were there.
I'm
So we
sure it's
actually
constant. Yeah.
we missed out on a lot of stuff. Um, and here's
But
just the ceiling, just showing you
this
how just
the
amazing this stuff is.
the building itself is worth checking out. So
Mm.
I don't know if this was done for the museum or if this is part of the palace ceilings back in the day, but the priceless works of art just everywhere you look, on the building, hanging from the walls. This is cool.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
was actually, like I said, this was one of the areas they were renovating while we were there, and I can't remember exactly what was there, but it was something along the line of some sort of crown jewels.
I believe you're right. The French crown jewels, and you could tell with the gold and how opulent that was. I
Yeah,
think that's what those cases would have held. So, and maybe they opened it up later in the day, but we just cruised
yeah.
past all this crazy stuff, and then
So this was going up the stairs, just looking out the window, and we saw the pyramid, just to show you how big that thing
and,
really
and
is.
and we're in something that looks behind the pyramid. We're like in that mirrored across the thing in the palace. So
And here, this is just the ceiling over another closed area that we didn't get to.
Highlights. And
Another just immaculate hallway there.
I think this was going towards Napoleon actually stayed there for a while and had
Yes, he
apartments
had an
in there.
apartment there, which was closed. We didn't get
It
to
was
see
closed,
that.
but that would he would,
So then
symbol of power for him too
we
to take residence there. So
so then we found our way to the Greek Roman exhibits, which was just incredible.
so that's like, that was on our list. So Mona Lisa, go see Nike, and then let's get into Greece and Rome and
Mhm.
hang out there as long as we can. There's Pan.
Pan.
Some
Well-
of these are reconstructions, Roman reconstructions of Greek stuff, and some of them are original Greeks. And these would have been in rich people's homes and palaces, decorated to impress their guest, and found in ditches and lost to history. And people just dug them up, and now they've collected them and put them in the Louvre. Or of course, they were stolen through conquest and stuff.
Right. So I believe this is Artemis here, goddess of the hunt.
I think this was an original too, and
Yeah.
I think that was a symbol of a recreation there.
Yeah. And I'm a big Greek mythology nerd / Roman, so I was just in heaven standing here. So this is Prometheus. If you know the story of Prometheus, he was he gave fire to mankind and really
Paid a price for it.
ticked Zeus off pretty bad. So as his punishment, he was chained to a rock for an eagle would come and eat his liver every day. So
That's not a good way to go, but
no,
Prometheus, we do appreciate fire. It's been a lot warmer since you handed that off.
absolutely. So this is actually I don't remember the actual name, but this was Hermaphrodite was the name of the
Hermaphrodite, and so
Yeah.
shows you how long gender stuff has been going on. It's not new, so
yeah. So this has been around, and that's the name of this statue. And then
the fireplace that had an
That'd be
H on it
I'd
too.
be okay with having that fireplace in my house. I think.
Be good. It's just like I said, we're going back and staying longer.
Yeah. So this was number 3 on our list, the Venus de Milo. Just
Another one they found in like somewhere off it was Milos or something in the Aegean Sea. They found it in 1820 and just dusted it off and put it up there. And it's a statue from 120 BC. No telling who created it, but Aphrodite, Venus, the goddess of beauty.
that's who they think it's depicting. They have no idea who did it, but it's
or for what or where it would have been held, but
But I
able
would
to
I would
date it
say this or Michelangelo's David, probably the most famous sculpture statues of all time.
of all times. Yes.
I think that's fair to say.
No, just beautiful, unbelievable. I mean, it is so human-esque looking at the faces of what they can do with this marble. It's absolutely
It's
insane.
insane, especially when you think about how old it is. I mean, it's just
And no, I guess marble doesn't wear like some
Yeah.
other stones was, but it is in other than losing the arms and stuff, but in premier
and
condition.
for you Simpsons fans, you may remember the episode where there was a gummy version of this worth a few $1,000s and Homer ate it. So just to
As
throw
he
that
would.
in.
And he's throwing back to his name, Homer, there, but that's the story
There you
of
go.
where she was found, and
Just yeah.
that,
So
that
those
awesome.
were our big 3. Like I said, okay, so now we've seen the 3 big ones that we wanted to see. So now let's just kind of explore. So we made our way back through the Greek and Roman area because there's
Spin-
so much there that's so great to see.
Both of Kyle and I are big classics fans, so this was a huge for us to see all this.
So that's Athena there, goddess of wisdom.
Such cool displays that they've created around them, priceless displays around priceless artwork, and then
So then we go around the corner and we enter Egypt, which is another just amazing culture to see.
stuff from 3,000-4,000 years ago. Something that was a little I didn't realize with Egypt, and I don't know if this is completely true, but the Egyptian stuff, no matter if it was 3,000 years old, 2,000 years old, 1,000 years old, 800, 500 years ago, had a lot more continuity, I thought, than some of the other work that had changed across the times. And of course, the Romans mirrors the Greeks, but then when we get into the medieval times, we saw a lot of evolution in art. But this was, lots of sphinxes and lots of
Yeah, so-
pharaohs and lots of hieroglyphics. And
Yeah. So, and they were just they would take out entire walls of these tombs that they found, and this is a wall of a tomb here.
just, close as you're going to, I'm sure Cairo wants all this back, but it's, as close as you're going to get when you're in France to seeing this stuff. And I think it's cool that it's all in one place.
I mean, some of this, like this is just a wooden sculpture of a boat that's probably
2 or 3
3,000
tons
years old. You know,
of
it's just
wood, so well preserved in the desert, but depicting, depicting all the stuff they've been doing. And a lot of those things that came back is like how, around the Mediterranean, how everything was based on sailing. There are lots of stuff on boats and oars and musical instruments and all kinds of cool stuff.
yeah, this piece is everywhere. And here's some that actually still had some of the paint on it,
What
which I
that
thought was
that
pretty
was
amazing.
that was really cool, especially that red. Well, the blues too, but that red was on several stuff that we came through there with, and shows you how much more alive that would have been than just looking at
Oh,
the
just
plain facade.
imagine, like I said, just like with the Venus and the Nike, just seeing that in its at its peak when it's it's fully painted and like they theorized there were like some bronze accessories and stuff that were on them that of course people have stolen over the year, maybe even gold, who knows? But just imagine what those would look like is just oh, I'd love to see it.
And they had really good descriptions. So amazing what archaeologists and scientists and historians are able to put together. But
So here's some stuff that was actually written on papyrus, I believe.
yeah, preserved paper with ink from way back in the day. I think this one was some kind of translation. There's some Egyptian
Yeah.
and
And
Greek translation. So
I believe, and like I said, my French is not good, but I believe this is from the Gospel of Luke.
I think so too. I think
uh,
that was more like seven or eight
Seven
hundreds. I'm not
eighths,
sure.
but still, I mean, that's that's older than anything we have here
Now
for
this
sure.
is crazy to find this stuff in the desert.
And Josh and I tried to translate some of these hieroglyphics.
And no telling. And we did not, unfortunately, get to see the Rosetta Stone when we went to London. That would have
Mhm.
been cool. And I think that was also part of Napoleon's conquest when they discovered those. And they had different languages around the side of it. But the reason it took so long to figure out is like some of the hieroglyphics represent sound and some of them are words and descriptions. And so it's a combination. So you got like an alphabet in there mixed with pictographs, and they were able to finally put it all together. I thought that was really smart to think of these being sounds by looking at other languages and comparing it, but unlocked an entire world of history that we had lost. So really
And
cool.
unfortunately, hieroglyphics were not one of the subjects we covered in the rural American high school in the
They didn't
90s.
teach. They didn't want pirates learning about this stuff.
So here's just some more statues. I believe this was a statue that represented an entire family.
You know, crazy with
And
all the different.
so here's where this is where I think they just kind of cleaned out this big tomb. They took out the columns, just massive through there. And then I believe this next slide. So they took out just these were the walls that were inside.
One of our future goals is to do some kind of cruise down the Nile in Luxor and Cairo. So Cairo, Illinois, Cairo, Egypt.
Yeah, Memphis, Tennessee, and Memphis over there, totally different. But this is a sculpture. It's kind of hard to see because it's really really old. But this is the zodiac,
Yeah,
which I
and
thought was really cool.
it was really cool. We thought it was kind of just tucked away in a room on the ceiling. I thought they would have made a bigger deal out of it, but you could see how keen they were. Navigation back in the day, they had the entire map on the sky and knew where they were going. So
So here's a
that
little description:
was
the
really, really
Zodiac
cool.
de Dendera.
And so that's how they got across the deserts and the oceans. And
Yeah, super cool. So again, so here's that basement we were talking about, which is so immaculate, and then you can see some of the mall shops that kind of
that's
take
cool.
away from it
It's
in the back.
crazy. But tunnels underneath Paris everywhere, leading from here to other places. So
But for all my Da Vinci Code fans, we did not see Mary Magdalene's tomb.
no, we didn't
That's
have we didn't have shovels to dig either. I don't know if they would allowed us, but
so we finally took this picture. I got to tell a little story because you don't realize how long it took for us to get this picture with the pyramids in the background
that
because of
fit.
this guy right here would
He
just
stood
he's
stand right in front of it and did a 360s around it, blocking everyone's pictures for the entire place. Very unself-aware, but we were patient. We stuck it out, and we finally got our shot.
finally
But
when he cleared out of the way, we are like, all right, let's snap it. And there it is. There's the result. So we had finished our day at the Louvre kind of reluctantly, but
yeah,
We had set ourselves a time limit and we stuck to it, and I feel like we got a
Yeah.
lot in.
We got a lot in, but we, our some of our friends, Nick, that especially told us to go over there. Is like, man, you got to get out and see some other stuff while you're there. Don't just spend the entire time because you'll miss the rest of the city. And we as hard as that was, we did want to see other things, so we popped out and went to.
Yeah, and he is telling us all that, it's like you got to eat this and that while we're there. So we had to mess with him a little bit. So we're like, all right, Nick, we've narrowed it down to 2 places where we should eat. Do you think we should go to this place here, this McDonald's, or
It's not
should we
Scottish. I think
go
it's
to the
American,
KFC?
and that is definitely Kentuckian. So that's the good old Colonel right there. Kyle and I don't. Kyle, are you a Colonel, Kentucky Colonel yet? I have not
No,
earned my Kentucky
not yet,
Colonel.
not
We'll have to
yet.
work on. We'll have to work on
Yeah,
that when we go see
we'll have
Brandon and go to Frankfurt.
to put that on the list. But so we had to mess with him and ask him which one of these we should eat at. I think his head might have exploded
You
when
get
he got
very
this.
angry.
But
I
we
just
decided
man,
on the French course of escargot, and
it's extremely good. I don't know what kind of snails they are, but I don't
so
know. Like,
good.
let's try it. Let's get a mimosa. Let's try the escargot. Olive
Like we're
oil, herbs. I don't know.
it's like we're in Paris. We have to try escargot. There's no, I mean, we have to, right? Yeah, just have to.
And another thing where we thought, oh man, we're hungry, we need a meal, and here we are with this little bitty plate of food, and the protein is
Oh, and the
packed in there.
bread.
Bread, oh, it's
Oh,
softened up the stuff with the bread. So we were full after that little snack right there.
yeah. So here's a little closer shot. I know the green of the sauce may be off-putting, but that stuff was so good. I would put it on just about anything.
Yeah.
It was
So
delicious.
just try new things. You never know. I mean, if we didn't like it, we would have left it, but
Oh,
we
yeah.
just, I mean, like there wasn't any juice left and we got none.
So yeah. So just for those of you that don't know, because this was new to me, so they give you this. So all the escargot is here on this little tray. So Josh and I split them up equally because that's how we do things.
Yeah.
But they give you this little clamp here that you grab the shell with, so you can hold
It's
it steady.
essential. It's essential.
And
You have to have that thing.
and then you dig the snail out with this little fork here, and
And
like
then
that sauce. Oh my gosh,
dump the sauce back out and go for it.
so good.
And this is like there's just one of these places everywhere you look. And it's like,
Yeah.
should we go here? Should we go in there? Should we go in there? So ornate. All these restaurants are beautiful.
Yeah,
And
I don't think you can make a bad choice there unless you maybe go to the McDonald's or
oh,
KFC.
and then Kyle and I are wearing our Home Alone burglar fashion this trip, but we're the only ones. It's really cool to look around and see all the different people dressed up and the fashions and the accents and the conversations, people from all around the world hanging out in Paris. So.
But yeah, it was just an amazing time. And I know this was a really, really quick trip through the Louvre, but if you go over there, take a day, maybe 2, 3 if you got it, because there's so much in there to see.
I could spend a week or longer. And so here's the story. You can only go to Europe a few times, we only can, afford to live to go there so much. Not all of us are fortunate to just be able to travel Europe all the time, although Kyle and I are working our way up here.
Yes.
So you go to the Louvre, and here's the reason. You get to see a medieval castle. You get to see a medieval royal palace into the Victorian era of a palace, into the Napoleon, into the Republic, with the people taking it over all in one building, and all the art that depicts that through history, from ancient Egypt through Greece to Rome to modern times. Wars, the 100-Year Wars with the British and everything else. So I don't know if there's another place on the planet where you can get such a collection of Western civilization, at least, in one building. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was just absolutely blew us away. Like I said, the only complaint that we have is we just didn't have enough time
No, and
to be there.
So no, because we've got to get back. We've got a ball game to go to. The Cats are about to play Michigan. We've got a couple friends that are meeting us in England, and we've escaped and got our few days over in Brussels and Bruges and Belgium, and then back through Paris, and get to see some of the countryside through the train rides and experience this place. But the I guess the grand finale or the main event's over in England, so that's where we're going next.
Yes.
And we got to see some really amazing
Oh.
stuff over there. One place comparable that we'll talk about some upcoming episodes, but nothing quite like this. And so to me, I might have to go back to Paris in the spring or the summer and ride the canal. I was impressed. It was a cool city there, but it didn't blow me away until I got to the Louvre, and I was like, this is worth a trip.
Yeah.
So
So if you go to Paris, if the Louvre is not on your list, put it on
add,
there. Put
add
it
it,
on there.
get there early, knock it out, go spend the afternoon doing some other stuff, but it's walkable, it's close. Like we said, we were in the hotel there by the Eiffel Tower, and we were able to get through a lot of the outdoor big scenes right there, and walk down
Yeah,
here as well.
if you book a room at the Best Western, Trocantero, I believe is where we stayed, you can hit up so much of Paris in such a short amount of time.
It's a
So
good kept secret. Don't take it from us when we try to go back over there.
that's
But
right.
I'm sure you can spend endless amounts of monies on room, and you would think Best Western. It's not that nice, but it was perfect.
Oh,
Perfect
it's
little
great,
place
great,
to stay.
absolutely great. But yeah, so like Josh was saying, this was our only full day in Paris. So we hit the Louvre that morning. Of course, the last episode we touched on what we did that afternoon.
The
I'm
arc and
pretty
everything.
sure this was a Wednesday, and then Thursday morning we had to be back in London to meet our boys for
Early.
the meat of the trip, and that's coming up in the next few episodes.
Yeah, we had to get there early. They were getting off the planes early that morning, so we wanted to make sure we were fresh and we were able to get up and meet them and be ready for a party, because that's going to be a reunion, seeing these guys, especially in Europe for the first time, and we're really excited about it.
Yes.
I have behind me the new Rolling Stones album. Kyle and I get along on most things. Rolling Stones is not one of them, but this is the first album they put out in 20 years. So I thought that was pretty cool. So it kind of bleeds into our going to back over to London to talk about some of the British stuff
Right.
over there. So,
And there's going to be, I don't know how long it's going to take us to get through everything we did in London, but I'd say 3 to 4 episodes. And I'm pretty confident we're going to have some guest stars
I
that
hope
are going to
so.
join us.
Yes.
Any of you Brandon fans that have joined us throughout the contest throughout the
Yeah.
podcast, I believe we're going to actually reel him in to be
It's
here.
a contest. We've got Nike. It's victory. So,
and then we've talked about our buddy Nick several times, and we're hoping to reel him in. So I hope I'm not spoiling the surprise, but if that gets you guys to come back and watch us, I believe they're going to join us. So
yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be the first time we try that, and these are people we were planning to go back over the pond with in a couple years, if not sooner, to maybe go to Spain's our next big project. So
that's the next one on the list. So you guys know anybody that's looking to sponsor a trip to Spain? We have some people that would be willing to take that sponsorship. So
we'll take that sponsorship, and we'll represent you well. Kyle and I do our best to keep this PG-13. It's very difficult. Like I said, our memoirs will be something that we will sell one day with stories, but this is just touching on this. But and then also just we only just got about a minute here before we got to sign off, but this is a way that even when we're here, we're turning into late fall and winter, and we're stuck inside, we can't travel right now. It's fun for us to go back and experience this, and so we're going to sit here and go through these pictures together, and we hope you guys appreciate what we did over there and enjoy us sharing them, because you can tell how excited we are about it.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy to think that it's been almost a year since we've been there.
No, it's too long. I
know. I would go back tomorrow if I could. Absolutely, without a doubt.
We're gonna make that happen before too long. But yeah, it's I could be over there a lot more often, and there's lots of fun stuff to see everywhere. But you just can't walk through history the way you can, and you can over there. The New World is fantastic. Yeah. Lots of stuff that has happened over here that's interesting, but nothing compares to being in Europe.
But thank you guys for joining us again. This was episode 6?
I think so.
And we never told the title. I believe we decided on LouvreRats after
LouvreRats, definitely
LouvreRats.
Because there's a mall,
one of our favorites.
There's a mall at the bottom of it, which we did not expect. So
yes, but thanks for joining us. Again, give us a like, give us a comment, subscribe, come back and check us out, because London is amazing. So again, I am Kyle, aka the Duke.
This is Josh, aka Ace One. We'll see you on the other side of the channel.
All right, peace.
Peace out, guys.